So today we're going to talk about, in the series of quantum physics, next topic is brain and heart coherence. So why it is important, what it is, and how to do it. That's our aim for today. Now, we know about heart, we know about brain, but what is this coherence? That is first question. So let's talk about the emotion. So what are emotions? Emotions, that is a result of your feeling. So when you are happy, when you are joyous, no issue. And any feeling, any emotion when we are talking about. So emotions, basically, it's kind of, you can, in very general term, we say is chemical. Chemical means body is producing different hormones, different enzymes, and all those things, which is based on the feeling, which comes as emotion. Emotion is again through your the feelings ultimately. And when it is positive in terms of our understanding, in terms of like how we define in our for soul, it doesn't matter, but for in our physical life, yeah, we say, when you are happy, you say it's good, and when you are kind of sad, you say it's not a good day. So when it is happy, elevated emotion kind of thing, that's issue, body can resolve it. We breathe, and like we say, every breath you are taking in cosmic energy, and exhale, you are letting a lot of toxins go out. Part of that exhalation and through your urine or other, when you are, say, exercising, or in another way, if you are sweating, then also body is resolving. It means taking out a lot of toxins. Toxins does not mean just bad thing, but whatever is not needed. So anything that body needs to resolve, these are different mechanisms. But whenever there is an unresolved trauma, we typically store it in our body. Now, what could be these unresolved trauma, and what we are talking about storing? How do we store in our body? So suppose, you met with an accident, or a family member passed away, or in relationship something happened, at your workplace or business something happened. So those, again, as we say, good or bad, from our perspective, not so good thing. If it's a trauma, ultimately it comes as emotion. Emotion means, again, as we said, it's kind of chemicals stored in our body. So these are what? Neuropeptides. These are molecules that we store in our cells, tissues, and different organs until the biochemicals can flow freely. Now, the biochemical, don't worry, it may sound like a big term, but basically it is anything that is part of your cell. Cell is the smallest unit in our body. And that's why we say smallest is cell, then could be tissue, and then could be an organ. Based on the emotion, different chemical goes to different organs. And that is why, based on the topic, based on the reason because of which you have that unresolved trauma, that emotion can get stuck in a particular organs. Sometimes certain emotions go to heart, certain goes to lungs, certain goes to kidney, your colon, and all other things. So this is the reason why we may develop disease, illness, or some critical issue in a specific organ, depending on what is stuck in our body. And this is the reason why we say forgiveness is so big. Because, when you are upset, when you are not happy, you think the matter is over. But sometimes it's going on in the background. Somebody said something to you 5 years ago, and you are still upset. And you blame the other person. You think it is the other person's fault. Maybe. Agreed. Even if I say, okay, trust. I trust you, believe you. However, imagine The other person is not paying for it. You are paying for it. You are paying every day because you are still upset. That means your body is still producing those chemicals. Those emotions are still alive. And what's happening to those emotions? You are not releasing it out of your body, means they are stuck in your body. And if they are stuck in the body, means your health is compromised. That means on the scale of 0 to 100, we don't know how much impact, depending on what it is, but certainly it will be a negative effect, not a positive effect. That means it is taking you towards disease or illness, not towards health. If you want to move towards health, what you have to do, let it go. That's why we talk about forgiveness. And that is how you can stay healthy. So you have to let it flow. So when the emotions are expressed, the biochemical that result from the emotions, right, they flow because you have expressed your emotion. Sometimes you may have heard people say, oh, big boys don't cry. Totally wrong. People say girls should not be heard. Totally wrong. If a boy is crying because of whatever has happened in the family, some family loss or whatever, it's okay. You are expressing your emotion out of it. You don't express, oh, I'm a big boy, I cannot show tears. What is happening? You are storing it inside, and then you are inviting disease or illness later in the life. Girls should not be heard. Why? Why girls have to be quiet? What are you forcing your kid to be? Keeping all the emotions inside. They are not expressing it out. What will happen later in their life? They will have some illness or disease. That is why there are some specific illnesses very specific to women, and there are specific to men. Because the way the society deals with such things and the way emotions are stored in the body. It's not that they are, one person is eating differently or working differently and all. It is the emotions. So where do the emotion go? Information is not in the neurons. It's in the field. So what happens is people think that our brain has all the information. Whatever has happened, it's in my brain. Latest research shows that it is not your brain holding all the memory. It's in the field. And these neurons, what we call the brain cells, they are nothing but like an antenna. And they are tuning to the field, like we say universe. So they are tuning it to the energy, to the outer world. And whenever we are thinking something in terms of memory, some old path, they are just receiving it. So, it's like in today's world, you have this cloud computing, means nothing is in your hard drive, it's out there in the cloud. That means, of course, somewhere else. And then you just retrieve the data whenever you need it. Something of that nature is what happens with this emotion, this feelings, and the information. So not necessarily all the information is in your brain as we think always. But when sometime you get brain injury, we think we lost the memory, and experiment have proven that it is not that you have lost. What you have lost is the connectivity to that information. That antenna is broken. Now, what's more important? What happened or what we perceive? So what happened exactly is one thing, but the most important is your perception. Imagine you are driving on a highway and you see an accident. Certain people may just ignore it. Certain people can take it to the heart. They may feel, oh, it could have happened to me, or what will happen to that person, or they may be, overthinking or too much emotional about it. Sometimes somebody says something, but we start perceiving things that, oh, that means this will happen, that will, and depends how you take it. And that is really what affects us the most. Sometimes you watch a movie, you can get way too emotional. So how you feel is ultimately will decide the impact on your health, not what exactly happened. And that is why when we do meditation, when we do pranayam or this yoga, what are we doing? We are making ourselves flexible. We are making ourselves so strong that we can take these day-to-day shocks very easily, and we can be in an optimum health without disturbing our balance. So how you perceive is very critical. So these neuropeptides, as we are releasing, depending on the emotion, they will be stored in the tissue that associates with the trauma. And as we said, there are specific, because the thought process, emotions are different from male to female in certain category. There is a certain kind of illness or diseases you will find very specific. It also depends on or varies from culture to culture, society to society, family to family, or religious background. Why? There may be different, very specific to that culture, to that society or the family. Like you may have heard that, oh, in our family, this thing happens, or in our family, girls are not allowed to say work or to do this or that, or in our culture, in our society. This does impact on thoughts. Thoughts leads to feeling, your emotions, because you're allowed, not allowed. That kind of environment does impact. So what happens in case of women? Very common one is hurt, betrayal, loss, fear. And when these things happen, it depends on the emotion, and it can go to the heart, or it can develop some issue with the breast, ovaries, lungs, or colon. In case of men, what happens? It goes to either heart or cardiovascular system or prostate. So you see there are subtle difference between men and women. People say, oh, men's have more heart attack than women. Well, there is a reason for it. It's not because they're just going out and working more, that's why they are having an all. It's the way we process our thoughts. And that's why you have heart issues in men versus, say, breast, whether breast cancer or some other things, or ovaries or uterus cancer versus prostate, cancer in men. And that is the reason that the way we process information. So it is not somebody did something wrong and all. There's a reason why these are most common. The percentages are so high. So again, what is the easiest solution? Express, let it go. Don't store the emotions inside. It's not a reflection of how strong you are if you are not expressing it. It's in fact right the opposite. If you want your life plain and simple, healthy, happy, blissful, express as much as possible. So DNA study was done in human chromosomes, and especially the number 2, which is the 8% of each cell. And they said this is the biggest chromosome responsible for neocortex in brain. So they could see the link where it is coming. And every day, each one of us face some situation or the other. And then we have to make a decision what to do. Sometime you may have to decide which university, which course. Your friend saying one thing, parents say another thing. Doctor says one thing, and your well-wishers may be saying, try this, try that. So you should have capability to decide who to listen, who to follow. So, like we usually say, listen to your inner self. Our heart, when we say listen to inner self, why we say so? Because it has more than 40,000 neurons and it makes independent decision, independent of the brain. We should know how to tap that wisdom. That's all. It's not that the brain is making all the decision. No, your heart is a big part of it. And in fact, your gut, your colon is extremely major part of this. But right now we are talking about the heart, so we'll stay with heart. So, when we talk about brain and heart, it's not just the brain making all the decisions, but they work in harmony. They work independently. And both are critical. You cannot say, I will worry about the brain and forget the heart, or work about whatever the related to heart, not about the brain. Brain alone is not the master, as sometimes we may think so. So that is why it is very important to take care of both. Now the question is, what next and how to get about it? So you have to understand what it is, and then we go for how we can, stay in the optimum situation. So you can make certain changes, but you have to have the access to your subconscious mind. Intuition or heart intelligence, many times we have already experienced that. Sometimes we don't believe, sometimes we don't trust, but we must have one day or the other experience, oh, my intuition says this, or my gut feeling. What does that mean? It is your gut, the intelligence, it is your heart, which is telling you. The brain logic may not explain, but heart says, my intuition says this, means your heart is telling you what to do. So if we connect to the body, then we can tap this intelligence. And then there is mirror neurons. Mirror neurons, and again, if we get into how the brain functions, so there is always, you are either performing action, you are witnessing, or you are hearing. And that will impact the response. Right? Now, if we want our brain to function properly, if we want the harmony to be there are different ways. This can be research or this can be experience. What happens when you have a perfect harmony? Whether you talk in terms of your positive biochemical reaction, as we just saw, these are the things happening in our cellular level, the reactions and all the processes, and you want it to be free-flowing. Free-flowing means not stuck somewhere. Whether you're learning the memory part, that you want to develop, you want to have a process flow, means your good immune response, your heart rate variability smoothen out. You don't want, ups and downs kind of things, your longevity, it impacts all those things. Each one of them may reflect what's happening. Like if your heart rate variability is not good, it will immediately show that there's something wrong in the harmony. If your immune response is not good, it will show that there is something wrong. Now, what happens in your life? Whether, it is your positive emotions, which is say love, true love, blissfulness, or the negative, what we say, the fear, the guilt, those kind of things. Based on that, you are manifesting things in your life. Now, what would you like to do? Keep fighting with the existing problem, or you want to create your new future? You can spend whole life fighting with the existing problem and spend all the energy there, or channelize your energy in creating whatever you want. And that's when, We talk about formation, visualization. You are creating your future. And you can ask anything. You can be anyone. You can get anything in life. So why spend all the energy in fighting the existing one? Why don't create new future? Because our heart is radiating constant frequency, constant energy, which connects to the outer world or universe. Whatever your wish, affirmation is, it's constantly radiating in terms of electromagnetic energy, which tells the universe what are you thinking about. So whatever you think, that's the energy is radiating. If you're thinking negative, it radiates negative and you attract more negativity. You are in positive thought process, you are emitting all those positive messages and you get more positivity in your life. That's why we say stay with elevated emotions. What are those? Some examples. The gratitude, very important one. Appreciate others, care, compassion, true love, feeling of abundance. These are elevated emotions which will keep your energy positive and heart. They have measured when you are in good coherence, heart and brain, you can emit these energy up to 6 meters. Sometimes you meet someone and you say, wow, I feel a good vibe. What is that? Your energy, other person's energy interacting and giving you a message that yes, compatible or not compatible. So there's a constant signal going on between your brain and heart. Again, in general, brain is logic, heart is going on your emotion. Like we say, hey, who's taking the decision, the logic part or the emotion part? Now, when we say intuition means what? That's emotions coming up. It's not logic, because intuition means you can predict something which is gonna happen. How do you know? How can your heart know what's gonna happen in future? Nothing has happened, so how can you know? And that's why people say it's not scientific. How can you predict future? So let's look at it scientifically. Imagine there is a river flowing, and imagine you put a big piece of any post. Sometimes you see the bridges and there is a big pillar supporting the structure. You will see the water flowing, but just as it is kind of impacting or hitting the pillar, there will be some waves around it. Why? Because of the impact, because it's getting blocked. So water will go around it. So what is happening when water is going around it? There are some ripples. That means before the water comes and hit this post, the water will experience the waves, which is an indication that in the very near future, this free flow will be impacted. The waves giving the clear message. This is exactly what happens when our heart senses those ripples in our life. So imagine it reflects our life, the free flow reflects our life. And our heart, the neurons, they have capability of sensing this energy about the event which has not happened yet. And this is how you know that something gonna happen. Now, is it 1 second before, 1 minute before, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 year? That's we are not specifying here, because that depends on person to person's capability. The more meditative, the more calm you are from inside, sooner you can sense this energy. The more we are in our chaotic world, it may take a long time. So the question comes, how can we heal the stress? Whether you do some chanting, use mudras or prayer, you have to get to the feeling. feeling is the prayer. It's not just by chanting, I can get this, or if I put some incense sticks or mudras alone can do this. Ultimately, you have to get to the feeling of the prayer. How you do is one thing. That calmness, that inner peace. And that's why I highly recommend doing pranayam just before meditation. Why? It slows down your brain waves. So when you are doing meditation, getting it, you have to slow down your brain wave. When we talk about elevated emotion, compassion, it is really the doorway to reach the subconscious mind. Why? It connects, oneness. These are the true characteristic of human beings. Heart does not have the logic of brain that this is right, this is wrong. That's why we say love is blind. Brain decides based on your logic that, okay, doing this is right, doing this is wrong. Heart, no. You love it, you do it. There is no filter in between. There is no ego. So connect to your heart by asking simple questions. Be direct and concise. Keep it simple. So how to connect to this power of your heart? Simple. When you want heart and brain coherence, first, you have to shift your focus. Bring the calmness. That should help you in shifting your breath. As you see your breath shifting, your feeling should shift as well. How do we do that? Using elevated emotion. How do we do that? Bringing calmness, slow down our brain waves, and then we focus inward. Like in any meditation, certain steps are common. That's what we are doing. But in this, we fill the heart with elevated emotion and pump it up that energy. And that opens up the highway between heart and the brain. And when that happens, tremendous amount of energy. Remember when we talked about the energy centers, we said it's coming from the lower bottom three where the energy is stuck. It goes to the fourth. Fourth is heart. You continue the journey, it goes to the throat, your chakra, and then it goes to pineal gland and your crown chakra, 7. So the more we can pump upward, the more energy you get for creation. Now, is that it? No. Even Nobel Prize winner, their research has shown that telomere is end part of chromosome which decide the length of our life. There is no medicine to repair these telomeres. So what are these? Every cell has chromosome, and every chromosome, the tip is these telomere. And with every multiplication of the cell, they get into half and then half, then half. So there is a limit to how many times a cell can decide, and that decide your lifespan, that for how many years you will survive. So how long a human life could be? Theoretically 120 years, because 40 to 60 division is the limit. Once that limit comes, body cannot divide any further. And that's how they decide about the age and all. What happens here is, what shortens your telomeres? Your lifestyle, stress, different kind of foods we are having, the water quality, air quality, most importantly, your thoughts. So stress coming from thoughts, your work and all those, the lifestyle bringing stress in your thought. So what are you doing? Not only you are impacting your health, you are shortening your lifespan. The moment you get rid of it, you stay healthy and you live longer. Sometimes we wonder why this person, had such a short life. Sometimes people have very long life. Some people live up to 100 years, 90 years, 80 without any issue with their health. A lot depends on these factors, especially your thoughts. So What do we do when we are talking about heart and brain coherence? How do we create this harmony? Relieve the stress, awaken the enzyme that heals and lengthens the telomere. Why or how? Because obviously, if it is taken care of, you will live healthy, you will live normal life, lifespan wise. Heart has no polarity, no right, wrong. So basically, we use that phenomena to bring this harmony, stay healthy, and we connect to your heart. How do you talk to your heart? Ask direct question, short. You can ask any personal question, you can ask anything. However, you have to develop trust. Be ready to sense that feeling from heart, because heart will not come and talk to you in your local language. It will talk in terms of, again, energy, in terms of intuition, in terms of you may have some visuals in your meditation, but you have to connect to your heart. That's why you have to calm down. So telomeres we were talking about, if it is shorter, what will happen? You will have weaker immune system. It will promote inflammation. That means diseases. Inflammation is the root cause for any illness or disease. Whether if you have healthier telomeres, so you will stay healthy. So what do? You have to live in the moment. That is one thing which we say in meditation. That's the one stage you have to achieve. That means throughout the day, how can you be in meditative state? Means you should be able to live in the moment. Live as per purpose of your life. So you have to first find out what is the purpose of your life. What is your soul plan? Then you will not see, oh, this is good happening or bad happening. If you know this is the purpose of my life, this is my soul plan, then you will say, okay, whatever it is happening as per my learning plan. That's your soul plan, your learning plan for the soul. So when you do meditation, you improve all these capabilities, these power that we all have within. The more we do this, bring heart and brain together, you improve the flow of energy from bottom energy centers to the top. Top is the centers of creation. So you come out of survival and you get into creation. And that is where there is no limit. You can be anyone. You can get anything in life, but you have to open that channel. Very simple. Start talking to your body, start talking to your heart. So masters, this is brain and heart coherence, which really makes you, brings you on the driver's seat, means makes you capable of be anyone, become anyone, get anything in your life, stay healthy. You can live a long life or short life, doesn't matter, depending on your soul plan. If you have decided to live for X number of years as per your soul plan because of whatever learning, that's okay. But the idea is, do we complete that, what we came for, based on your purpose of life, or we struggle? Because then you have to repeat in your next incarnation. So this was Brain and Heart Coherence, masters. If any questions, please feel free to ask.